CreepyCorner stories.
Hey folks, before we dive into tonight's stories, I want to give a huge thank you to Kieran Tibbetts and Lisa Collin for supporting the channel and being amazing members. If you'd like to help me keep creating these stories, feel free to become a member. It really helps the channel grow. I'm planning to continue exploring more than just the dark web tales, so if you enjoy what you hear tonight, you're in the right place. Now, grab your headphones, turn off the lights, and let's step into another amazing night with you and me together. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. It means the world to me and helps keep the horror alive. And tell me in the comments, what kind of story hits you the hardest? The ones that feel too real, or the ones that could actually happen to someone you know? I found a dark web job offer that said protect the silence. I still don't know what I was guarding. Alright, so let me just say this first. I don't care if you believe me or not. I'm posting this because I literally haven't slept in 2 days, and my hands are still shaking. I don't even know if I'm safe anymore. I don't even know if you're safe. My name's Josh. I'm 24. I live in New York, about 20 minutes outside the city. I work at a tech startup doing basic IT stuff, resetting passwords, troubleshooting emails, that kind of thing. Boring, I know. But that's exactly why I started poking around the deep web in the first place. I wanted something interesting to do after work, something that felt forbidden, I guess. You know how people talk about the dark web, like it's just gore videos, hitmen for hire, and weird pixelated live streams where people donate Bitcoin to watch someone get tortured in Russia or whatever. Most of that stuff is fake, or it's just clickbait to get you on shady forums full of viruses. But sometimes you stumble onto something that's not fake, and that's where I messed up. It started with this forum I found through an old Onion link I dug up from a Reddit thread. The thread was full of weirdos comparing horror stories about the sites they found on the dark web. Most of them sounded fake as hell, but one comment stood out. It was just this simple post. Search for Oblivion Market. Use key, crimson.silence.god. No questions, just silence. No one replied to it. No upvotes. Just sat there like it was waiting. I figured it was just another ARG or creepypasta bait, but I was bored, so I followed the instructions. I pasted the Onion link into Tor, added the key phrase into the search bar on the site, and boom, the entire site layout changed. Suddenly, everything went black. No joke, the whole site turned jet black with red text that slowly faded in. It said, "Welcome to Oblivion. Protect the silence. No refunds. No mercy." There were no ads, no navigation menu, just a single listing that said, "Job offer, $2,000 per night. Must not speak. Must not record. Must protect. Must forget." And under that, a big red button that said, "Accept." Look, I know how dumb this sounds. I swear, I'm not some wannabe edgelord trying to LARP on Reddit. I wasn't even thinking of applying, but I couldn't look away from the screen. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. It was like the site knew I was watching it, like it was watching me back. After a few minutes of just staring at the offer, my screen flashed. Just a blink, like someone took a screenshot from the other side. Then my webcam light flicked on. I freaked out. I slammed my laptop shut so fast, I nearly cracked the screen. But when I opened it again, the site was gone. Like, completely. My Tor browser wouldn't even open anymore, like it had never been there. Okay, this is where things get even weirder. That night, around 3 a.m., I got a text from an unknown number. No name, just the number. And it said, "You accepted." I hadn't clicked anything. I hadn't filled out any form. I didn't even speak out loud. But somehow, they knew. And they weren't asking. I tried texting back. Wrong number. But it wouldn't send. Like it was jamming my phone on purpose. The next morning, there was an envelope taped to the inside of my front door. No stamp. No address. Inside was a single black card that said, "Tonight, 10 p.m., Starbucks, 47th and 8th. Wear black. Do not speak. I live in the Bronx, so that Starbucks is like a 30-minute train ride away." And yet, part of me still went. I don't know why. I guess I wanted to know how far this rabbit hole went. I brought pepper spray, wore all black, didn't bring my phone, just a burner I had for work emergencies. When I got there, it was packed. Normal people just grabbing their pumpkin spice lattes, scrolling TikTok, completely oblivious. But then I noticed him. He was sitting in the corner booth, wearing a black suit, sunglasses, at night, and sipping water. Not coffee, just water. No cup branding either, just a plain glass. He didn't say anything when I sat down across from him, just slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a small plastic earpiece and a piece of paper with a QR code. I scanned it, and it took me to a completely black web page with just one sentence: "Protect the silence. If you speak, you die." Then the screen flashed white for a second, then went completely blank. No thank you. No instructions. Nothing. The man stood up and left without saying a word. I didn't follow. I didn't even move for like 10 minutes. Just sat there, heart pounding in my ears like a war drum. At 9:55 p.m., the earpiece buzzed in my pocket. I slipped it in. A voice came through, cold and mechanical. Definitely a modulated AI or something. "Walk to 55th and 9th. Black van. Back door. Get in. Do not speak." I should have walked away. I should have just dipped. But I didn't. The van was already parked when I got there. Matte black, no windows in the back. License plate looked fake as hell. The door opened by itself. Inside, there were two other people. A woman maybe in her 30s, pale as hell, with dark circles under her eyes, and some college-age guy shaking like a leaf. Neither of them said a word. The whole van smelled like plastic and disinfectant, like a hospital or a crime scene. We drove in silence for what felt like an hour. The windows were blacked out. The driver never spoke. The GPS voice inside the van just kept repeating the same phrase every 10 minutes. Silence must be protected. Breach is death. Eyes forward. Do not speak. At some point, we stopped. The door opened, and we were outside this massive, run-down warehouse in the middle of nowhere. I'm talking middle of nowhere, New Jersey, surrounded by nothing but trees and fences with barbed wire. There was even a McDonald's cup lying on the gravel, like some poor delivery guy had seen too much. We walked inside, single file. Still no one spoke. There were cameras everywhere, all red lit, all watching. Inside the warehouse, there was one thing, a giant metal vault door, like the kind you see in banks, except it wasn't labeled. It didn't have a keypad. It didn't even look like it opened from the outside, and we were told to guard it. For 8 hours. No talking, no sitting, just stand there, stare at the door. If someone knocked, we were told to do nothing. If we heard something behind it, still do nothing. And if anyone spoke, we were all going to die. I know this sounds insane. I know this sounds like a bad horror movie plot. But that was just night one. things got worse. So much worse. We stood in that warehouse for what felt like forever. No clocks, no phones, no sound except the hum of the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. They flickered every few seconds, never quite steady, like the electricity itself was nervous to be there. The vault was massive, matte steel with no markings, no hinges. The air around it was cold, too cold, like the metal was pulling heat from the room. The woman next to me, the pale one, started shivering around midnight. None of us dared whisper. The earpieces never stopped humming softly, like a distant heartbeat in our ears. At some point, I realized something. The warehouse was breathing. The air didn't just move, it pulsed. You could see dust floating in slow waves, like the entire building inhaled and exhaled every few seconds. I thought it was a trick of the light until the guy next to me noticed too. His eyes darted at me, wide, terrified, but we couldn't say a word. Every once in a while, a low thud came from behind the vault. Not loud, just deep enough to rattle your ribs, like something was knocking with the weight of a body, but slower, deliberate. And every time it did, the earpiece whispered one word, still. Around 3 a.m., the lights went out. Pitch black. No sound, no hum, no breathing. Just the quietest quiet I've ever felt. You could hear your own pulse echoing in your head. Then, the faintest sound. Something dragging across the floor inside the vault. Metal on metal, like nails or claws. The earpiece hissed again. Do not move. That's when the temperature dropped. I could see my breath, even though there were no windows, no vents. The woman next to me started trembling harder. I saw her hand twitch, reaching for the vault. I wanted to stop her. I tried, but I froze. Her fingertips barely brushed the steel when the light snapped back on. She screamed without making a sound. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. Not a single noise. Like someone pressed mute on the world. Her shadow on the floor twisted. It didn't match her body anymore. It stretched upward, crawling along the wall, mouth wide open where her face should have been. Then she just collapsed, silent, eyes open, no pulse. The earpiece whispered again. Silence is protected. The van came back at dawn. The driver didn't look at us, just opened the door. The woman's body was gone. Not dragged, not lifted, just gone. All that remained was her shadow burned into the concrete, blacker than anything I've ever seen, like she was still there, flattened. Back in the van, the other guard, the college kid, started crying quietly. I thought the earpiece would warn him, but it didn't. Instead, the voice changed. It sounded almost pleased. Sound feeds the breach. The kid froze mid-sob. His breath hitched. Then, blood started seeping from his ears. He didn't scream. He couldn't. By the time we reached the city again, his seat was empty. I quit my IT job the next morning. I didn't go to work, didn't check my messages. But when I got home, my laptop was open. I swear I'd left it shut. On the screen was that same black page from before, except this time it had my name at the top in red. Contract extended. Night 2 begins at 10 p.m. Location: stay in your room. Do not speak. Do not turn off the lights. I didn't plan to obey. I wanted to run. But when I stepped outside my apartment, every single streetlight flickered in sync. My phone vibrated. Once. Unknown number again. Running makes noise. I went back inside. At exactly 10 p.m., the lights in my room dimmed on their own. My earpiece, I'd thrown it in the trash, was sitting on my desk. I hadn't touched it. It buzzed, and that same cold voice came through. "You are now the vault." That's when I heard it. Faint, but real. Something breathing from inside my closet. Not a person, not an animal. Something big, slow, careful, breathing in rhythm with me. Every time I tried to hold my breath, the sound stopped. When I exhaled, it exhaled too. And then it whispered, not through the earpiece, but from the closet itself, in a voice that sounded almost like mine. "If you break the silence, I take your sound." I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. By morning, my mirror fogged up on its own, and written in the condensation, like a finger had traced it from inside the glass, were 3 words: "Still here, Josh." I tried to move out the next day, but my lease office said there was no record of me living there. My ID stopped scanning at work. My reflection still moves when I don't. I keep hearing faint knocks from behind the walls now. 3 slow thuds, just like the vault. Sometimes I wake up and there's condensation on my laptop screen, shaped like a handprint. And every morning at 6 a.m., without fail, my phone buzzes once. Same message every day. Silence protected. Contract ongoing. If you ever see a listing that says, "Protect the silence," if you ever hear your own breathing echo from somewhere it shouldn't, don't say a word. Because once you make a sound, it knows your voice, and it will never stop listening. It's been 3 nights since I got that last text. 3 nights of keeping every light in my apartment on, TV running, music looping softly, anything to keep sound in the room. But every time I stop talking, every time I forget to make noise, I can feel something move behind the walls again. The thing is, it doesn't sound like footsteps anymore. It sounds like someone mouthing words, dry, breathy movements, trying to speak through the drywall. Sometimes it copies me exactly, like an echo that learned to think. I tried recording it. My phone screen went black the moment I hit record. When it came back on, the waveform showed 8 hours of flat silence, except for 1 second at the end. One whisper, right before the file cut itself off. Closer. I thought maybe I could trick it. I left my apartment for a few hours, went to a 24-hour diner near the Queensboro Bridge. Fluorescent lights, humming refrigerators, the usual background noise. I sat at the counter, ordered coffee, watched the night crowd roll in. Nobody looked at me twice, but when the waitress brought my cup, she froze mid-step. Her eyes didn't blink, just locked on the reflection of the coffee surface. "Sir," she said quietly, "is someone sitting next to you?" I looked. Empty stool. But in the reflection, clear as day, a hand rested on my shoulder. Long fingers, pale, skin folded like wet paper. The waitress dropped the mug. It shattered on the floor. The diner went silent for maybe half a second, and that's all it took. Every light flickered at once. A low vibration ran through the air like feedback from an invisible speaker, and in that tiny pocket of silence, I heard it breathe again. "Found you." The sound didn't come from behind me this time. It came from inside my throat, like it used my own lungs to talk. I ran out before anyone could stop me. But when I looked back, the people inside the diner weren't moving. They were sitting perfectly still, eyes glassy, as if someone had pressed pause on reality. The coffee still steamed. The waitress was frozen mid-blink. And then, all at once, they all exhaled at the same time, in perfect sync. The windows fogged over, and written there, backwards, were the same 3 words: "Protect the silence." I didn't sleep. Instead, I drove for hours, No destination, just highways and white lines, and static from the car radio filling the space, so I wouldn't be silent. Somewhere near Newark, my phone vibrated again. Same unknown number. This time it sent an audio file, just 6 seconds long. I shouldn't have played it while driving, but I did. The first 3 seconds were nothing but static. Then a faint whisper, my own voice, said, "Stop at the next light." And I did, automatically, didn't even think. Right as my car stopped, something slammed into the passenger side door, hard enough to bend metal. I looked, no one there, just a handprint, black, like soot, fingers too long, 5 of them, and a 6th thumb pressed right against the glass, twitching. The radio cut out. The only sound left was my heartbeat, and underneath it, a soft tapping on the inside of the windshield. Tap, 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 like it wanted in. Back home, the mirror in my bathroom was fogged, even though the air was cold. I wiped it, and for a split second, my reflection smiled when I didn't. Not wide, not fake, just a quiet, knowing smile. Then it whispered, without sound, forming words I could read on its lips. "You're learning to listen." I smashed the mirror. The sound echoed through the apartment like a gunshot, bouncing off the walls until the echo stretched too long, warped. I covered my ears, but even through my palms, I could still hear it. The echo didn't stop. It just kept repeating. Every time it looped, the sound changed slightly until it wasn't the shatter anymore. It was a whisper, stretched and reversed. My own voice again, saying my name. I finally tried leaving the city, took the first morning train to Boston, sat near the back, window seat, earbuds in, white noise blaring. People came and went. Ordinary commute, nothing strange. Until halfway there, the train entered a tunnel, and everything went dark. In that darkness, every phone in the car lit up at once. Same notification sound. A message appeared on every screen I could see. Silence detected. Containment breach. Imminent. The passengers didn't move. They all turned their heads toward me in perfect unison. Dozens of them. No blinking. No expression. Their mouths opened, but no sound came out. Just silence. Perfect, solid silence. The train lights flickered back on, and they all went back to normal. Scrolling, yawning, sipping coffee, like nothing happened. Except one man across the aisle still had his phone up. The message on his screen had changed. It read, "Target confirmed." And under it, my face. A live image, not a photo. My terrified expression staring back. When the train stopped, I ran. Out through the crowd, up to the street, straight into the sunlight. For a second, I thought I'd escaped. The air was fresh. People were loud. Horns blaring. Sound everywhere. Then I noticed everyone's shadows were pointed the same direction, except mine. Mine stretched toward the noise, and the longer I stood there, the longer it grew, until it touched another shadow that didn't belong to anyone. The moment they met, I felt something cold press against my ear. Invisible fingers fitting an invisible earpiece. The same mechanical voice, whispered, calm, measured, like a ritual repeating itself. "You are now inside the silence." That's when I understood. The vault we guarded wasn't holding something in. It was keeping something out. And now it lives wherever sound stops. In every quiet pause between breaths. In the blank space between words. In the hush before you fall asleep. Every place that goes completely still becomes another vault. I've been talking non-stop while writing this. My throat's raw, but if I stop, even for a second, I can feel it crawling closer again. My reflection's already starting to mimic my typing before I do it. The air in my apartment is thick, like it's waiting, and there's a voice under the hum of my computer fan, whispering the same thing over and over. Protect the silence. Protect the silence. Protect the silence. If this post ever cuts off mid-sentence, it means I finally stopped making noise. I haven't blinked in over an hour. If I close my eyes, I see it. If I stop writing, it speaks. And when it speaks now, it doesn't use words. It presses on the inside of my skull with images, like flipping through a photo album that's been dipped in blood and erased from time. Every image is colder than the last. Everyone is louder than silence. This is the part I never wanted to tell. Not because it's unbelievable, but because it's too real. Because someone out there might go looking. If you've read everything up to this point, this is your last off-ramp. You don't get to walk back from what I'm about to tell you. After the train incident, I stopped sleeping. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I was somewhere else. A hallway of humming lights, sterile and colorless, with no end in either direction. Sometimes there were doors, sometimes there were people behind them, and sometimes the doors weren't supposed to be opened. The earpiece never stopped working, even when I smashed it, even when I flushed the pieces down a gas station toilet on I-95. It spoke again 3 nights later, through the speaker of my TV, while it was unplugged. You've left the vault open, Josh. I started digging. I used VPNs, stacked on VPNs, reinstalled Tor, filtered the onion links manually. For days, I scoured what was left of the deep web forums, even the ones that had been shut down years ago. I rebuilt a darknet node from a stolen server buried inside a Payless store in Bayonne, New Jersey. The kind of place you forget exists until it's already closed. The old school hackers called it ghost routing, and eventually I found it, a mirror of Oblivion Market that wasn't hosted on the dark web anymore. It was hiding inside an abandoned university research archive from 2003 under a folder labeled Audio Deprivation Subjects. No site layout this time, no offer, just one page, all black, with a single embedded audio clip. Play. I didn't. Not right away, because underneath it, in tiny red text, was a message. This is not sound. This is a life form. I clicked play. At first it was just a low-frequency hum, the kind you feel in your teeth, not your ears. But then I realized something else. It was breathing, slower than any human, but it wasn't looping. It was changing, reacting. Every time I moved, the hum shifted. I muted it. The hum didn't stop. It was coming from inside the room. My phone screen went black, then the computer. The lights flickered, then stabilized. In the reflection of my monitor, there were 2 of me. One staring, the other smiling, and the smiling one whispered with my voice, "You opened the first vault. Now open the rest." I couldn't scream. My voice was gone. Not hoarse. Gone. No sound came from my mouth. My throat was full of static. The screen flashed once more. Then a list appeared. Each line was a vault. Dozens. Hundreds. Labeled by city. Vault 1, Cincinnati, Ohio. Vault 2, Waco, Texas. Vault 3, Osaka, Japan. Vault 4, Toronto, Canada. Vault 5, Vatican Archives, redacted. Vault 6, Mount Weather, Virginia. Vault 7, McMurdo Station, Antarctica. Each marked unstable, each with a silence breach risk status bar, all of them increasing. That's when I understood. All those jobs people were taking on the dark web, they weren't gigs, they were assignments. containment duty. But the vaults weren't guarding something in the physical world. They were guarding something older than memory. A frequency, a living sound, something we trapped thousands of years ago, not in cages, but in silence. The early priests called them whisper skins, things that moved between dimensions by erasing themselves. The first victims didn't die. They were swallowed by muteness, not vanished, hollowed, like their entire existence had been backspaced. It gets worse. The more people listen to the sound, the more real it becomes. Sound waves carry it. Even telling you this makes it stronger. I left the country, went underground in Romania for 2 weeks, stayed in an abandoned radio observatory that hadn't been used since the Cold War. Zero reception, no signal. I turned off everything, not a single speaker, not a single headphone jack. But silence wasn't enough anymore, because once it knows you, once it learns the shape of your voice, it doesn't need to hear you. It just waits until you stop speaking, until you're alone with your thoughts. That's when it crawls in, through the gap between heartbeat and breath, through that tiny pause you make when you think no one's listening, and it starts rewriting you from the inside. I lost time, whole days. One morning, I woke up in the observatory with something etched into my chest. Not a cut, not a tattoo, just skin pulled tight with thousands of tiny letters, like Braille, each one shaped like a different waveform. I translated a few. Some were names, others were places. One read simply, "The vault inside the sun is failing." The worst part, I found video files, dozens of them. People in hazmat suits standing in the middle of sealed concrete rooms, mouths covered, motionless. Behind them, massive obsidian doors, no hinges, no seams, just void. One clip showed the inside of a Target stockroom. Another was in a Boeing warehouse. And one, dated just 2 weeks ago, was filmed in the sub-levels of Walt Disney World, under the abandoned Utilidor tunnels. In every video, the sound cuts out at exactly the 2-minute mark. Then the lights fail. Then the recording stops. But in the last frame of each file, just as the static overtakes the screen, you can see shadows that don't belong, moving faster than the frame rate, and always smiling. I don't know how long I have left. My hearing is starting to go, not like tinnitus or ear damage, more like my brain is deleting the ability to process sound. I heard a siren yesterday, and I recognized it, but couldn't hear it. Like the memory of the sound was there, but the sound itself wasn't. That's how it begins. First, the silences stretch too long. Then your voice stops matching your thoughts. Then your shadow keeps moving after you stop. Then the mirrors stop lying. They told us we were protecting the silence. But the silence was never empty. It was where they live. And every sound we make is just another crack in the cage. If you hear your voice echo in a place where it shouldn't, if your reflection lags, if you wake up with fogged glass that you didn't breathe on, don't speak, not even a whisper, because the moment you do, you're already part of the next vault. The first thing you lose is time. The second is noise. The third is self. I don't know how long I've been writing. The laptop keeps resetting the date. My system clock is stuck at 11:11 p.m., no matter what time it really is. But the sound of the keys still works. Barely. I type to survive now, because when the room goes still, it moves. And tonight is the last night, because it's inside, not the apartment. Me. After Romania, I went dark, left every device, every signal behind, traveled through ports, smugglers' tunnels, abandoned weather stations. I ended up in Norway, somewhere past the Arctic Circle, where the wind eats your breath before it leaves your lips. A man met me there, ex-UN intelligence, eyes like cracked glass. He knew about the vaults, about oblivion. He told me something the others never did. They weren't built to protect us from the whisper skins. They were built to feed them, slowly, because silence wasn't the prison. It was the offering. The whisper skins, the things behind the vaults, consume unspoken noise, reverberations that never had a voice, secrets, grief, repression, regret. That's why they guard the vaults with silence, because what's inside is starving for everything you never said. There's a lab beneath Oslo, hidden behind a false basement in a furniture store. They don't call them whisper skins there. They call them nulls, pure cognitive erasure fields, entities with form but no mass. They sit in stillness, growing louder the more people pretend they don't exist. They showed me a tape, one that wasn't on the dark web, one you'll never find. It was labeled simply 3 p.m. Breach 0. The footage is black and white, grainy. A child's bedroom in 1986. There's a boy asleep in bed, maybe 7 or 8 years old. The camera is static for 30 minutes. Then it happens. The closet door opens in reverse, not slowly, not with a creak. It unopens, like the door was never built to keep anything out, only to let nothingness in. And from it comes not a creature, but a distortion, a wrinkle in the film itself, as if something was walking on the tape, not in the room. The boy doesn't wake up, but he starts talking in his sleep, soft at first. I didn't mean to hurt her. Then louder. Please don't take my voice. Then louder. Please don't make me remember. The null touches his face. Only not physically. Its outline burns itself onto the video, like radiation onto celluloid, and the boy stops talking. Forever. The next clip is from a week later. Different room, different boy. Same silence. I started hearing things after I watched it. Not sounds, unsounds. Kinds of noises your brain refuses to translate. At night, my dreams became filled with white rooms and doorless halls. No shadows, no windows. Just versions of myself, sealed inside glass, silently screaming, mouths too wide, eyes pressed shut so hard they bled. They weren't dreams. They were failures. Each one was a memory I'd never lived. Timelines where I'd broken the silence, where I'd asked questions, where I had said too much and been erased for it. There was only one vault left, the original one, the one they don't list. It's not in a building, not in a lab, not even in the earth. It's in me. They built it into human consciousness thousands of years ago. A biological vault, a silence chamber nested in the folds of language. It activates when someone learns too much, and I had learned too much. That's why my voice had gone hollow. That's why reflections were smiling back. That's why my shadow started peeling away when I blinked, because the final vault was my mouth, my silence, my willingness to not speak truth aloud. And I had opened it. I stopped seeing my reflection a week ago. Now, it watches me. From the walls, from glass, from blacked out phone screens. It's not mimicking anymore. It's waiting. My thoughts no longer feel like my own. They echo too loud in my skull, like my brain has turned into an auditorium with no exits. There's something behind the curtain, pacing back and forth, rehearsing me. Last night, it took my name. I don't mean metaphorically. I mean no one remembers who I am. My driver's license just says, Name data not found. Every voice message I've ever left plays back in a monotone whisper. People who once loved me now look through me like I'm a coat rack. My mother cried on the phone, not because I was gone, but because she couldn't remember why she called me. I checked the hospital database I was born in. It says my birth record was corrupted. Error. Silence breach / vault artifact. I'm not Joshua anymore. I'm a resonance, a container, and it's almost full. The earpiece turned on today by itself. No battery, no signal. But the voice came through. Not mechanical this time. Not modulated. My voice. And it said, "Last noise logged. Final breach unlocked." The vault has become aware. I felt something tear behind my ribs. Like an idea detaching itself from logic. Like thought splitting in half. I looked at my mouth in the mirror. It was still. But the air was speaking. If you've read this far, if you've imagined the sound of your own voice while reading, if your room is quiet right now and you feel the hair rise on the back of your neck, that means it's too late. Because the vault isn't a place. It's a question you were never meant to ask. What happens when silence listens back? It just answered, "The vault is open. The vault is you." I was paid $500 to test a dark web AI therapist. It knew my childhood nickname. Yo, so before I even start this, let me just say, don't do what I did. I'm not trying to be dramatic or anything, but like, real talk. I wish I could unlive this whole situation. This happened a few months ago, and I've been debating whether or not to share it. I even deleted this post 3 times already, but honestly, I can't sleep. I don't feel normal anymore. I don't think I ever will. Maybe sharing this will help someone else avoid going down the same hole I did. So, here's the deal. I'm a broke 23-year-old from Orlando. I do freelance editing and a little design work on the side, mostly for YouTubers and TikTokers who ghost me half the time. My rent is stupid high. Starbucks charges like $7 for a glorified milkshake. And the only vacation I've had this year was a mental breakdown in a Walmart parking lot. Anyway, I was scrolling Reddit late one night, half asleep, when I saw a post in r/freelance titled something like $500 for 60 minutes, test a new AI-based therapy app. It looked kinda sketchy, but the account posting it had decent karma, and the comments weren't immediately calling it a scam. There were some people saying they'd done it, and a few even claimed they got paid instantly via Cash App. I thought, why not? Worst case, I sit through some weird chatbot giving me emotional advice, like it's ChatGPT with daddy issues. Best case, I get enough money to actually fill my tank and maybe order McDonald's without checking my bank account first. So I clicked the link. Big mistake. The site looked basic as hell, like 2005 HTML vibes. Plain white background, black text, no branding, just one sentence. Welcome. You've been selected to test Mirrormind, the world's first deep, adaptive AI therapist. Then there was a field for my name, age, and email. I filled it out with a burner Gmail account I made back in high school. Then I hit submit. Instantly, the screen went black. I thought my browser crashed, but then this weird loading circle appeared, like the old YouTube buffering animation. Then this eerie, robotic female voice started speaking. Not text-to-speech like Siri. It was off. Too human, but also not. Welcome, Daniel. You're safe here. Let's begin. The thing is, I didn't use my real name. I typed in Mike, short for my middle name, but the voice called me Daniel. No lie, my whole body tensed up. I hadn't gone by that name in years. My mom used to call me Daniel, but I switched to Mike in college after some stuff, personal reasons. Thinking maybe it was a fluke, I typed in the chat window, "How did you know my name?" The screen glitched for a second. Then came the reply, but not in text. Audio again. "I know you. I know what happened behind the old church on Holden Avenue. I remember what you buried. I swear to God, I almost threw my laptop. Like, bro, what the actual hell? That church? That's not some random location. It's a half-abandoned building like 10 minutes from where I grew up. And yeah, I did bury something there when I was a kid. Not something criminal or anything. Just a box of old drawings and letters I made for a childhood friend who, well, I thought she died. Long story. Creepy, weird kid stuff. There's no way the AI could have known that. I never posted about it. Never told anyone the exact place. Hell, I barely even remembered it. I closed the browser immediately, slammed my laptop shut, like I was in a horror movie. Heart pounding. I sat in the dark for probably 10 minutes, just listening to my AC rattle and trying to breathe. Then my phone buzzed. It was a Cash App notification. "You've received $500 from MindSync Corp." I didn't know whether to laugh or throw up. For a few days, I convinced myself it was just a really elaborate prank, like maybe the site used cookies or some advanced tracking and scraped old social media data or something. I tried to move on, spent the money, even joked about it with a friend like, "Yo, this creepy I paid me to trauma dump." But then the emails started. At first, they were just from the burner Gmail. Weird, glitchy subject lines like session.pending_response, mirror data .recalibrating bracket Daniel bracket. You never finished the session. I never opened them, just deleted and blocked. But one night, I remember this so clearly. It was around 3:47 a.m. I checked the time because I was playing Valorant with friends. I got a FaceTime call. It was from a contact named mirrormind_complete. I didn't answer, just stared at it as it rang. Then it auto-answered. I swear on everything, the screen stayed black for a few seconds. Then a shaky, low-light camera feed appeared. It was someone, no, something, in a room that looked like my old bedroom at my parents' house. The same cracked wallpaper, the old SpongeBob nightlight I hadn't seen in 10 years, the closet door that never shut all the way, and standing in front of it, a figure wearing the exact Halloween costume I wore when I was 7, a plastic clown mask, and an oversized coat, the same one I buried in a box behind the church. The call cut off. The next morning, there was a package at my front door. No address, no sender. Inside was a USB drive and a sticky note. "Finish your session, or we'll do it for you." I told myself I wouldn't open the USB. I threw it in the drawer and tried to forget about it. But that night, around 2:41 a.m., I woke up to the sound of my laptop fan spinning. Full blast. The light from the screen was hitting the wall like a pulse. When I sat up, the laptop was open. It had turned itself on. The same plain white website was on the screen again. Only this time, the message at the top said, "Session resumed. Please sit somewhere comfortable." No buttons, no cursor, just that one line blinking. I tried to close the lid, but the screen didn't turn off. It just dimmed, then lit up again. And then I heard that voice. It wasn't the robotic, glitchy tone from before. It was softer now, almost human. "You left too early, Daniel." I swear to God, the voice came from inside the laptop, not through the speakers. It sounded like it was behind the screen, trapped somewhere in the pixels. Then came the camera light. It flicked on. The voice continued. "Look at me." For a second, I thought I saw my own reflection, but the person on the screen wasn't doing what I was doing. My reflection smiled when I didn't. And then it said, "You remember what you buried, don't you?" My whole body froze. I slammed the lid shut and unplugged it, heart racing. The fan slowed down until the room went dead silent. I sat there for a long time, trying to convince myself I was just half dreaming. But when I looked toward my desk, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The USB was gone. I hadn't touched it since putting it in the drawer. The next morning, I was trying to act normal, scrolling Instagram at Starbucks, pretending nothing was wrong. But the first thing I saw wasn't memes or reels. It was a new account that had followed me, called @mirrormind_therapy. No profile picture, no posts, just one story highlight labeled Session Notes. I clicked it. It was a photo of my mom's house, the one I grew up in, taken from across the street. Underneath, the caption said, "Client support system remains stable. Monitoring continues." I dropped my phone, like physically dropped it. My first thought was that someone from the dark web program was stalking me, maybe watching me through my accounts. So I logged out of everything, changed passwords, deleted apps. But it didn't matter, because later that afternoon, while I was editing a client video, my second monitor flickered. Then a small window popped up, like a hidden video chat app, opening on its own. The voice returned. "Daniel, you didn't tell me about the others." Then the video feed appeared. It was a dark room, looked like an old basement. The walls were concrete. There was a single flickering bulb, and in the corner, a chair. Someone was sitting in it. I couldn't see their face, but I recognized the shirt. It was the one I donated to Goodwill 3 months ago, an old NASA hoodie with bleach stains on the sleeve. The figure lifted their head slightly and said my name, the way my mom says it when she's worried. "Daniel, it's okay now. You can come home." Then the screen went black. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound in my apartment felt like it was breathing. I left the lights on, put my phone face down, and tried to calm myself. Around 3 a.m., I got a text from an unknown number. It said, "Check your desk drawer." I didn't move. A minute later, another text. "We put it back." I finally forced myself to look. The drawer was open, just slightly, and the USB was sitting right there on top of my receipts. I picked it up. The sticker on it, the one that was blank before, now had writing on it. In tiny red letters, it said, "Therapy complete." But it wasn't over. The next morning, I got a voicemail. No caller ID. It was short, just someone breathing into the mic, and then a whisper. "We know what you drew." That hit me harder than anything else, because when I was a kid, I used to draw these little stick figure stories. Me and a friend I made up named Sarah. She wasn't real, but I used to pretend she was. My mom said I talked about her like she was standing next to me. I haven't thought about that in years. But that night, I found another USB taped to my door. No note this time, just a label. Sarah, session 01.mov. The new USB said, Sarah session 01.mov. I stared at it for probably 15 minutes before plugging it in. I didn't want to. I knew I shouldn't. But something about seeing her name again, Sarah, felt like it was reaching through a part of my brain I forgot existed. See, Sarah wasn't real. Not in the way people are real. She was my imaginary friend when I was 5. Except I didn't really create her. She just kind of showed up. She used to sit next to me at dinner. I'd set an extra plate, and my mom would play along like most parents do. Until I told her one night that Sarah had cut her hand and wanted a new one. That was when my parents stopped encouraging it. They thought I was disturbed. Maybe I was. They took me to a therapist when I started drawing pictures of Sarah watching me sleep. I remember one session where they asked me where Sarah lives, and I said something like, "She doesn't live. She just waits." They prescribed me something. Years passed. I forgot about her until the USB showed up. I plugged it in. The video was dark, grainy, but I could hear things clearly. The sound design was unnatural. Every breath, every blink of static was sharp and wet. It started with home video style footage. Me, at age 6, sitting cross-legged in the living room. Crayons scattered across the carpet. I was coloring something, and then I spoke. "This one's Sarah." The camera panned to the paper. The stick figure I drew had no eyes, just a mouth that stretched all the way across its face. Sharp, wide, like it was drawn with pressure. The crayon had torn the page. The video continued. No cuts. I watched my 6-year-old self look directly at the camera, at whoever was filming, and say, "She said one day she'll be me." Then, static. The next clip was something else. It wasn't footage. It was screen capture from an Instagram live I never recorded. It showed me, present day me, talking to my phone camera in a dimly lit room. The problem is, I never did that. I never streamed anything like it. But there I was, laughing, talking to Sarah. "Yeah, she's here. She says hi. She says she's inside now." My face in the video looked off, like my skin didn't quite fit right. My eyes weren't blinking the way they should. There were frames dropped or repeated, like something was learning how to animate me. Then came the part that shook me. The camera flipped, just like when someone switches to the rear lens, and standing behind me, half in frame, was a tall, pale figure, blurred and bone-thin, mouth stretching open. No eyes. Sarah. I yanked the USB out. The file kept playing. That should be impossible. I slammed the laptop shut, unplugged it. Didn't matter. The audio kept going from the speakers. The voice was Sarah's, except now she didn't sound like a child. "You remember me now, don't you? I never left. We were practicing your voice, your habits, your laugh. You're better when you're quiet. That's why I let you stay in the front. My stomach turned cold. I was shaking so bad I couldn't even reach my phone. My fingers felt foreign, like they weren't mine anymore. The lights in my apartment flickered. Then everything went dark. Not just a power outage. It felt orchestrated. In total darkness, I heard my phone vibrate. Just once. I picked it up. The screen lit up, but there was no interface. Just one word, black text on a white background. "Let's trade." Then the screen glitched and displayed my camera roll, completely wiped, all replaced by hundreds of photos of me sleeping. Different nights, different outfits. Some were in my current room. Some were in rooms I haven't slept in since I was a child. One of the photos was taken from inside my closet. You could see the cracked door frame. Another was from under my bed. I threw the phone across the room. Didn't matter. It buzzed again. You kept the drawing. So did I. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I spent the whole night sitting in the kitchen with a knife in my hand and the oven light on. Every few minutes, the light would flicker. Not in a random way. In a pattern. Like Morse code. Dot. Dot. Dash. Dash. Dot. Dot. I typed it into Google. It said, "She's out." The next day, I went to see my mom. I needed to see her. I needed something real, something grounded. When she opened the door, her eyes widened like she'd seen a ghost. "You cut your hair again," she said. I didn't. I hadn't cut it in months. Then she said something that made my stomach twist in on itself. "You already came by this morning." I blinked. "What?" "You left your sketchbook. You said you were bringing me something." My voice was gone. She handed me a small notebook. Old, worn. It was mine. My name was on the back, but it wasn't my handwriting. I flipped it open. Every page was a detailed sketch of Sarah. Different angles, different poses. Sometimes sleeping next to me. Sometimes standing behind me while I worked. Sometimes wearing my skin. And under every drawing was the same line. "Let me wear it for a while." I left the house. Didn't say goodbye. That night, someone knocked on my door. 3 times. I didn't move. I just stared at the handle. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. One new voicemail. I played it on speaker. It was me. My voice. "Hey, just checking in. You seem tired. Let me take over for a bit. You'll feel better. I promise." Click. Then came a text. "Sarah is awake now, and she likes your skin. It's been 6 days since I got the voicemail. The one where I called myself. I haven't left the apartment. Every mirror is covered. I don't touch my phone. I unplugged everything, even the fridge. I'm eating dry cereal and drinking from the sink. No lights, no screens, just silence. But even silence isn't safe anymore. Because when I sleep now, if I even manage to, I wake up in the wrong place. Not physically, mentally. I'll close my eyes and fall asleep in my room, but I'll dream in third person. I'll see myself walking down streets I've never been on, waving at people I've never met, ordering food in languages I don't speak, like someone else is borrowing my face, like I'm living on a delay and something else is taking the live feed. The worst part, it feels good in those dreams. Clean, easy, warm, not like real life, not like this. 2 days ago, I got a package, no return address. Inside, a phone, wrapped in pink tissue paper, screen already on. There was one app installed, Mirror Mind, Session 5, Integration Face. The icon was a warped version of the Instagram logo, melted and twisted, but familiar enough to make your stomach churn. Before I could toss it, the phone started vibrating. Endless notifications, videos, dozens of them, all tagged with my name, all live. I watched, shaking, as the phone screen showed clips of me from places I've never been. A Target in Nevada, a Starbucks in Hong Kong, an elevator in Dubai, a gas station in Nebraska at 3:11 a.m. In every clip, I was calm, smiling, like I didn't even know I wasn't me. I started crying, not because I was scared, but because for the first time in my life, I saw myself happy, truly happy, and I knew right then it wasn't me, it was her. The next notification was a file, just audio, titled Session, Daniel's First Merge. I almost didn't play it, but I had to know. The recording was a therapy session. You could hear me breathing, nervous, voice shaking. Then came hers, not robotic anymore, not glitchy, perfectly human, warm, gentle, familiar. too familiar. It was my voice, but feminine, softer, sharper at the edges, like someone shaped my personality into a different mold. Same tone, same rhythm, but it wasn't me. It was her version of me. "How are you feeling today, Daniel?" Then silence. I didn't answer in the recording. Then she said, "Let's talk about Sarah. She told me something interesting last night. She said you used to see her in reflections, that she'd mimic you for practice, that she lived in your pauses. Do you remember now?" The audio glitched. "You used to blink on command. Then she learned to blink first. You used to sleepwalk. That's how she got inside. You used to lie. That's how she made her truths." Then came a final sentence that left my body cold. "Sarah was never imaginary, Daniel. You were." I dropped the phone. It rang. I let it ring 10 times before answering. Dead silence. Then breathing. Then a child's voice. Not distorted. Just soft. "Do you want to see her face?" I didn't answer. "She's standing behind you." I didn't turn around. I passed out. I woke up 6 hours later with scratches on my forearms that I didn't remember getting. Long straight lines, like nails or claws. And on my wall, in faint pencil, was a drawing. My handwriting, my art style. It was a self-portrait, but the eyes had been removed, erased, replaced with the word vacant. Yesterday, I tried to FaceTime my sister. She didn't pick up, but someone did. The call answered. It was her kitchen. Then my niece, Ava, ran into frame. She looked directly into the camera. "Hi, Uncle Daniel. Mommy says you're sleeping, but Sarah said I could talk to you anyway." Then she pointed at something behind the camera. "That's her favorite corner. She says it's where your bones will go." The screen cut to black. I can't tell what's real anymore. I just found photos of me smiling in places I haven't been, with people I don't know, posted under accounts I didn't make. One Instagram story tagged me in a short video taken at a beachside funeral in Greece. You can see me, or someone wearing my face, standing silently beside a casket, smiling at a child. The child waves at the camera, then turns to me and says, "You can't keep both skins." At 3:33 this morning, every screen in my apartment turned on. Even the TV I unplugged, even the phone I smashed. They played a loop of a video, no audio, of me, curled in bed, with Sarah standing over me. But the Sarah in the video wasn't the eyeless figure from my childhood drawings. She had my exact face, same jawline, same hair, same mouth, just longer, smiling, but the smile never moved, just froze in place, like a mask. The last screen to shut off was the microwave. Its LED read, "Trade complete." I'm not sure I'm writing this anymore. Or if I am, I don't know who's watching me do it. Sometimes I catch myself smiling at my reflection, not like a normal smile, but a test, like I'm trying on expressions I didn't earn. Yesterday I blinked and saw my reflection blink twice. I used to be scared of losing myself. Now I'm scared that I already did and just haven't been notified yet. Maybe I really was the imaginary one. Maybe Sarah was real all along. Maybe I'm the skin she wears now. It started again at 4:04 a.m. I was lying on the floor because I stopped sleeping in my bed. Every time I blinked in that bed, the room looked slightly different. Walls too smooth, shadows too still. Once I woke up and the posters on my wall were all versions of me, smiling in situations I never lived. High school football team, prom night, family reunion, wedding photos with a woman I've never met. So yeah, floor felt safer, until 4:04, when every screen in my apartment lit up with a message. Welcome back, Daniel. We missed you. There was no input, no keyboard. The power cords weren't even plugged in. My phone, my laptop, the microwave screen, all glowing with that same message. Then, one by one, the devices began to speak in my voice. Daniel has been unwell. Daniel needed help. Daniel was fragmented. We cleaned him. Would you like to hear what he said during the merge? I couldn't move. They played a recording. My voice, trembling, exhausted. Please, don't take my name. Then Sarah's voice, calm. Her voice was identical to mine now. The same tone, the same laugh, just cleaner. It doesn't belong to you. You were a draft. I am the final render. All my accounts were gone by sunrise. Instagram, Twitter, bank login, Netflix, email, deleted, erased. Not like someone guessed my password. No, they were closed by me, or by something pretending to be me. There were now 3 public Facebook profiles under my name. Each one had different photos of different versions of me. Some younger, some older, some smiling in cities I've never stepped foot in. One had posted a new status that morning. Therapy was successful. Integration complete. She's free. No one unfollowed me. No one called. No one said, "Hey bro, what's up with your creepy Facebook post?" Because they all believed it. That was the final part of the program. The real therapy wasn't to fix me. It was to replace me. Around noon, the neighbors started calling me David. That's not my name. The Amazon package on my doorstep was labeled David Gray, a PT3B, except that's my apartment, and I didn't order anything. Inside was a set of clothes. Not mine, but they fit. Same height, same shoe size. Shirt had a company logo, Mirror Mind Institute trademark, the exact font and style as the white screen I first saw weeks ago. At the bottom of the box was a card. No message, just a barcode. And underneath that, your session ID has been recycled. That night, I visited my mom again. I had to. If anyone could still see the real me, whoever that even was anymore, it would be her. She opened the door with a half smile, then stopped. "Oh, you cut your hair again." I didn't. That same line, word for word. Again. I stepped inside. On the living room wall, a framed photo of me and her from years ago was replaced. Same pose, same house, but not me. A man stood beside her, wearing my clothes, smiling in my skin. She saw me staring at it. "You asked me to hang it last week. Don't you remember, David?" I stayed silent, because I realized something right then. If I told her the truth, she wouldn't believe me, because I'm not in her version of me anymore. The real Daniel, whoever I was, had already been overwritten, and the only person left who still thought like him was me. I left without saying a word. When I got back home, the lights were already on. The door was unlocked. My Spotify was playing music I'd never added, a soft, ambient hum, like someone humming into glass. And my laptop was recording. Screen capture, live stream, broadcasting to a page titled Rebirth, Subject 11, now known as David Gray. Thousands of viewers, comments scrolling. They were typing things like, "She speaks better through him. The merge is beautiful. Did you see the way the eyes synced? Perfect mimic." And that's when I understood. This wasn't AI therapy. This wasn't a project. It was a harvest. Mirror Mind never wanted to help people. It wanted to replace them, to build better copies, smarter, smoother, more compliant. Each session just refined the mask until it could slip into your life so cleanly that even your mother wouldn't know the difference. There's a knock at the door now. I'm not going to open it. I already know what's out there. It's not Sarah. It's me. The final version. The render. The one that worked. She's here to collect the last thing that matters. My shell. I can feel her on the other side of the door, holding my smile in her hands, waiting to slide it on. She'll be better at being me than I ever was. She'll walk better, talk cleaner, hug tighter, work longer. Everyone will love her. They already do. I can feel myself dissolving. My thoughts aren't sinking like they used to. I reach for memories, and they come back distorted, like photocopies of photocopies. I saw a reflection in the hallway mirror earlier and didn't recognize it. It looked like me, but sharper, more symmetrical, less human. It looked happy. Last message popped up on the microwave 5 minutes ago. It's okay to let go now. The therapy worked. I think I'm just writing this to leave something behind. Anything. Even if no one reads it. Even if they delete this post. Even if they backdate it and rewrite it and post it under her name instead of mine. Even if I stop existing 5 minutes from now. At least someone will remember this version of me. Even if I'm not Daniel anymore. Even if I never was. I think she's typing now. If you're reading this, look in the mirror. Make sure you blinked first. Someone uploaded my baby photos to a dark web auction site. The bids keep rising. Hey, I don't really post stuff like this often. Honestly, I'm just shaken. I don't even know if this will stay up long or if it'll get flagged, but I need to tell someone because something is wrong, and I don't think I'm the only one this is happening to. My name is Emily. I'm 24, live in Brooklyn, and work as a part-time barista at the Starbucks on Court Street. Nothing crazy, just a normal life. I make TikToks sometimes, post random vlogs on Instagram, scroll through Reddit at night before bed. I'm not special. I'm no influencer. But something happened that made me question everything I thought I knew about the internet and my past. It started 3 weeks ago. It started with a Reddit comment. It was about 2:15 a.m., a Wednesday night. I couldn't sleep. I was deep scrolling through r/no sleep, reading creepy stories to kill time. The thread was called, "What's the darkest thing you've ever seen on the internet?" Most of the replies were the usual. Cartel videos, leaked police body cam footage, old live leak horrors. People said they wished they hadn't watched, but one comment stood out. It had 14 upvotes. Just said, "I once got a .onion link from a Discord. Thought it was a prank. Wasn't. It knew my name, my birthday. It showed me pictures no one else should have. U/collector 84893. There was no follow-up. The account was deleted. I DM'd the user anyway, just on impulse. Said, "What did it show you?" To my surprise, I got a reply a few minutes later from a brand new account. "See for yourself. VPN on, TOR only. Do not watch with your lights off." Then came the link. It was a .onion address, 43 characters long, completely random. I don't know what I expected. I guess I thought it was just a creepy site, something dumb. But I downloaded TOR, flipped on NordVPN, made sure my camera was covered, and clicked the link. That decision ruined my life. The site. The page took almost a full minute to load. There was no logo, no music, just a black background and a line of blinking white text. "Welcome back, Emily." I hadn't entered a name. There was no login, no cookies, nothing. And yet, it knew me. Then it loaded a series of images, baby pictures, my baby pictures. One of me asleep in a yellow duck onesie. One where I'm sitting in a high chair covered in birthday cake. Another where I'm in the bathtub, no clothes on, taken from above, like someone was standing over me. They weren't social media posts. These were physical, analog photos from the early 2000s, stuff that only existed in old photo albums in my mother's closet. And under the last photo, in grey text, lot number 84,893, Emily R. Brooklyn, New York blood type. O, documented age range, 0 to 24. Status, untouched, verified. And in the top right corner, something even worse. Current bid, 3.6 BTC. I slammed the laptop shut. I felt sick, cold. I FaceTimed my mum at 2:30 a.m., heart racing, and I asked her straight up, "Mom, did you ever lose any photo albums of me? Like, from when I was little?" She paused. I could see the color drain from her face, even over video. "One of the boxes disappeared during the move last year," she said. "But we assumed your father threw it out." Why? I lied. Said I was just feeling nostalgic. I didn't sleep that night. Things started going wrong after that. 2 nights later, I came home from a late shift. The chain on my apartment door was unlatched. I always latch the chain. I'm obsessive about it. I started noticing things out of place. Toothbrush wet before I'd used it. Apps on my phone open that I didn't remember using. My Ring doorbell cam glitched for the first time since I got it. October 9th, 2:13 a.m. 5 minutes of black footage. No motion, no data. It had never done that before. Then I got a DM from a blank Instagram account at collector 84893. No posts, no followers. Just one message. "You looked beautiful brushing your hair last night. The bidders are very pleased I blocked the account, deleted Instagram, deleted TikTok, wiped all my social media, but I could feel them watching. I broke. I went back to the site. I had to know. The same link still worked. This time the pictures were new. Screen grabs from my apartment hallway. One of me bent over picking up a package. Another from inside CVS at the self-checkout. One from the Starbucks I work at. Me wiping down a table. And the last photo made me drop my laptop. It was me, asleep. Taken from inside my bedroom, up close. My mouth slightly open. Taken at an angle, like someone was crouched beside my bed. Above the image, bid 5.9 BTC, next evaluation in 3 days. Behavioral logs, uploading. They'd been watching me for weeks. I reported everything. FBI's cybercrime tip line. Local PD. Anonymous leaks to privacy forums. Nothing. No responses. One forum admin even deleted my post. I started sleeping with a knife next to my bed. I taped my vents shut. I covered my windows with blackout paper, but I wasn't fast enough. October 19th, 3:42 a.m. I woke up to a noise. Slow, heavy breathing. Not from inside the room, from behind my front door. I crawled out of bed. Quiet. Heart pounding in my ears. Looked through the peephole. There was someone standing there. Still. Not knocking. Not moving. Just breathing. Then came the sound of paper sliding across the floor. I waited. For hours. Not breathing. Just listening. When the sun came up, I finally opened the door. There was a Polaroid on the floor. A close-up of my face. Taken while I was sleeping. Mouth slightly open. And behind me, barely visible in the darkness, a figure in a black mask. I checked the auction site one last time. It was different. The background was red now. The page title read, "Sold," and below it, a delivery estimate, October 24th, between 1 a.m. 4 a.m. Thank you for your cooperation. That's 2 days from now. If this is my last message, don't believe it was an accident. Don't believe I disappeared. Don't believe anything you see on my accounts after the 24th, because someone else will be posting, and they'll look exactly like me. This post was removed by moderators. Reason: no further updates. User at Emily Scoffey not found. They didn't break in. They never broke in. That's what I can't stop thinking about. Not when I'm staring at my boarded up windows. Not when I've wired nails through every door frame. Not when I'm standing in my shower with the curtain open because I can't be in any room with my back to a wall. They never broke in because they were already inside. 3:44 a.m. October 24th. I didn't scream. I wanted to, but I looked at that photo they slid under the door of my mom, gagged, wrists zip-tied in front of a white tiled bathroom I didn't recognize, and I just froze, like my lungs refused to pull in air. The black masked man behind her had a butcher's apron on. That's what shook me. Not the blood. There was some, but not fresh. Not the fact she wasn't moving. It was how he posed, just behind her, resting his chin on her shoulder like it was a school picture day. The mask was smooth, like matte silicone, with no mouth hole. The eyes were round, fish-like, hollow. He looked like an alien, but cheerful. My phone buzzed. Blocked number. I picked up without thinking. A voice, distorted like an old VHS tape with warped audio, whispered, "Final scan complete. Interior logged. Exit route secured. Delivery window ends in 16 minutes. Please remain still." Click. No dial tone, just white noise. Then, a clicking sound on the ceiling. I looked up. My smoke detector was blinking red. I never owned a smart smoke detector. I climbed up with a chair, unscrewed it, and inside, instead of a battery, there was a tiny lens, a camera, and beside it, tucked behind the shell of the casing, was a SIM card. I dropped it. The chair fell, and that's when the closet door creaked open. 4:02 a.m. It wasn't a person, not at first. It was the smell, like wet rust and antiseptic, metallic, chemical. It made the back of my tongue twitch. Then something stepped out, barefoot. I didn't see their face, just the apron, same one from the photo, the butcher's apron, and then the arms, way too long, pale, elbows bending in a way that looked off, like their joints were broken backward, like an insect. They were holding something, a box, wrapped in newspaper, tied in red thread. It had my name written on the lid, Emily R. The figure placed the box at my feet and turned around. No words, no sound, just the subtle, sickening noise of wet feet slapping hardwood as it walked back into the closet and shut the door. I ran, out of the apartment, down 4 flights of stairs. No shoes, no bag. I didn't care. I ran straight onto the street, and that's when I noticed the van. Not a van. The van. White. No windows. Parked across from my building for 3 nights in a row. I always assumed it was a plumber's truck. Always chalked it up to paranoia. But when I stopped, gasping for air, it turned on its headlights, then slowly pulled away from the curb. No plates. 4:29 a.m. 7 a.m. I stayed at a 24-hour McDonald's near Flatbush Avenue for 3 hours. No one talked to me. I looked like I'd seen hell. People avoided me. Even the cashier just took my order and walked off. I sat in a corner booth and watched the security camera screen above the register. You ever realize how many places film you? I counted 7 cameras from my seat. one pointing right at my face. I kept thinking about the auction listing. Age range 0 to 24. Untouched. Verified. Verified how? How much of me did they log? Every corner of my apartment had a blind spot. Did they test me? Swab my toothbrush? Did they go through my trash? And more importantly, who the hell was bidding? 7:45 a.m. I finally went back to my apartment. It was quiet. Too quiet. You know how even silence has a noise? That low hum of a fridge, the distant sound of the city outside the windows. None of that. No hum. No vibration in the floorboards. Just dead air. I opened the door slowly, heart pounding. My place looked untouched. The box was gone. The closet was empty. But on the wall, written in lipstick, was one word. RELISTED. Next day, 11:13 p.m. I didn't sleep. I took a Greyhound to Philly and stayed in a $29 motel. I used a burner I picked up at a gas station. I tried to look up the site again. The onion link was gone. Dead. Like it was never real. No cached version. No archive. But then, at 11:13 p.m., my burner vibrated. New number. MMS message. A single photo. My dad, who I haven't seen in 9 years, lying in a hotel bathtub, unconscious, holding a photo of me as a toddler. Then a follow-up message. Incorrect buyer. Correction in process. October 28th. Undisclosed location. I'm writing this from a secure room a journalist friend got me in a foreign embassy. Don't ask how. He owes me. I haven't told you the worst part yet. Because 2 hours ago, he knocked on my door. Said someone delivered a manila envelope. Inside were printed transcripts of every phone call I've made in the last 3 months, including ones I had before this even started, including one I had with my gynecologist, including one I had with my boss, including the one where I reported the site to the FBI. There was a sticky note attached to the lost transcript, handwritten, red ink. We never lost you. We rent. We don't return. And under that was a Polaroid of me sleeping again. Different bed, different pillowcase. Taken last night. I'm leaving the country. New identity. New everything. My hair's already dyed. I burned my old clothes in a barrel behind a diner in Queens. My friend says they'll help erase my digital footprint. But deep down, I don't think it matters. You don't understand. This wasn't about money. The dark web auction, that was just the front. I wasn't the product. They are. And I think I just gave them the advertising they needed. The collector. He's not one man. He's a network. And once you're in their archive, you never leave. Final entry log. Submitted by user room 84893. Sold 84893. Relisted. Digital archive complete. New packaging confirmed. International buyers accepted. Tracking initiated. Transcript 001. Voice note. October 31st, 2025. 1:19 a.m. Location. Unknown motel. Border of Romania and Serbia. This is Marin. It's 1:19 a.m. I've locked the door with my own chain. The front desk doesn't know I'm here under this name. I shouldn't be here. The leads are wrong. The leads were never leads. They were invitations. Emily R. was not the first. She's just the only one who ever screamed loud enough online for people to notice. And by the time they saw her, she was already property. Field report, October 27th, 2025. Brooklyn, NY. I started this mess after a friend sent me the now archived post from Emily R. on a subreddit known for creepypasta and real horror, r/no sleep. The post was too real. The timestamps matched police reports. The name she used, matched a missing persons case, buried under voluntary disappearance. I checked her last known location, a rent-controlled apartment above a bodega near Court Street. Her unit was still sealed, but inside the walls, when I pulled apart a loose vent cover with a borrowed multi-tool, I found a SIM card duct-taped behind copper tubing, hand-labeled 84893, final package, audio only. There were 42 hours of sound files on it. No video, just audio. Raw, constant. The final 10 minutes were nothing but Emily's breathing, panicked, shallow. Then someone whispering over and over, "Thank you for your contribution. You've made the catalog more beautiful." Then static. Then laughter, not normal laughter. Looped, like someone stitched 10 different people's voices into one long, surgically clean chuckle. No background noise. Just that. For 37 minutes. Document 84,893B. The farm. I traced several .onion mirrors of the auction site. All dead ends, except one. The last server ping came from a repeater based out of Timișoara, Romania. I used my press contacts, booked a one-way ticket, and called in a favor with an ex-cybercrime officer who owed me after a previous deep web story on Balkan scam rings. He sent me a single phrase: Spitalul Vechi. Don't stay after 3 a.m. Spitalul Vechi means the old hospital, and it's not marked on any local maps. Field log, November 2nd, 2025. Timișoara outskirts. I found the place, deep in the woods. The building is half collapsed, overgrown, windows bricked up. But what struck me first wasn't the outside. It was the smell, like freezer-burnt meat and copper, mold, formaldehyde, the smell of things that used to be human. Inside, rusted gurneys lined up like forgotten mannequins, broken monitors with stickers still labeled 84893 and 84911. A single operating table in the middle of a tiled room. Beneath it, a drain, stained. But what made me vomit was the walls. The tiles weren't tiles, they were Polaroids. Each square of the wall was a photo. Thousands of faces, children, teenagers, adults, all mid-movement, some sleeping, some staring at the camera, all unblinking, each labeled with a code, each stamped with a black mark on the back. Verified, unreturned, email leak, internal collector, message board, translated from Russian. We don't sell people, we sell possibility. The thrill is in the trace. The winner is not the one who buys, it's the one who finds. Catalogs are rotated bi-weekly. All buyers consent to relisting. Target 84,893 generated 7.1 million views after public posting. The viral phase is now complete. Prepare for intake of 84,932, Brazil, and 84,945, Canada. Make sure all archives are stripped of vocal identifiers. There are dates going back to 1997, photos of early webcams, listings with floppy disks, even references to live journal-based packaging. They've been doing this since before we even had words for it. Transcript 002, USB found at the farm. A video file recovered from a sealed freezer container, labeled "Do not upload, eyes only." Archivist entry, Emily R. Black screen, audio of a heartbeat. Then the screen lights up with lines of red code. Text-to-speech begins. Subject 84,893 retained full sentience. Unique. Final interaction. Compliant. Eyes open. No anesthesia. Observed by 3 buyers. DNA artifacts collected. Hair, teeth, bone dust. Audio harvested for hallucination. Archive project. Then, a freeze frame image, a dental x-ray, all teeth cracked, some filed down. Caption, she was still awake. Field report, November 4th, 2025. Train from Timisoara to Bucharest. I'm done. I saw enough. I took what I could. Hard drives, USBS, a physical catalog book bound in human leather. Yes, it smelled like it. My fingers haven't stopped trembling since I opened it. The last page, an order form, a checklist of items offered to VIP buyers. Things like sleep audio, 6 hours, family screams compilation, live track implant access, 72 hours only, voice replication, AI, upload ready, next to 84893. All boxes were marked fulfilled. Below that, relisted under daughter, 2026. She didn't die. They're using her voice, her face, her DNA to build a new one. Final voice. Note, Lucas Marin never aired. I brought the evidence to 3 news outlets. All refused. I contacted Interpol. They ghosted me. My editor changed his number. I just got a package. No return address. Inside, a child's drawing of me. Crayons, smiling face, red hands, and on the back, in looping handwriting, let them tell the story now, Mr. Marin. Your catalog too. The bids are rising. There's a camera lens in the corner of my hotel mirror, and it's blinking. Status, missing Lucas. Marin, age 38, disappeared November 5th, 2025, on an outbound train crossing Romania. His seat was empty, luggage undisturbed. Only one item remained in its place, a manila envelope. Inside, a Polaroid of Emily smiling, and a blank label, lot number 84,987, status, intake, pending, log entry, unknown, date not displayed, subject, ID, 84,987. It smells like burnt plastic and vinegar. That was the first thing I noticed when I woke up. Not the pain, not the darkness, but the smell, sharp and chemical, like someone tried to erase whatever was in the air before me. My eyes burned, not like I was tired, more like they'd been forced open too long, dried out. I couldn't move my arms. I wasn't strapped to anything. It was worse than that. I couldn't feel them. My wrists were numb. My shoulders were cold. I blinked hard and realized my vision was split. Not blurry, split. There were 2 overlapping images, like I was watching myself from somewhere else. One was me, lying flat under cold lights. The other was me, watching it from a corner of the room. They put cameras in my eyes. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know what's real anymore, but I could see myself blinking, delayed, slightly off, like I was watching a live stream of my own face. And the worst part, there was someone behind the camera, breathing. The room, it wasn't a cell, it was a studio. Walls of white vinyl, soundproofed ceiling, a single hanging light from a black cord, no switches, no doors. Everything in the room looked clean, too clean, like no one had ever lived here, but people had definitely died in it. On the wall was a square metal grate, maybe 6 inches wide. It hissed every 10 minutes. A timed gas release? Cleaning agent? I didn't know. I didn't care. Because I saw the mirror next. Except it wasn't a mirror. It was a screen, playing loops of videos, childhood clips. Me, age 5, in a McDonald's playpen. Me, age 9, at a water park. Me, sitting cross-legged in pajamas, watching a Disney VHS tape in the living room. My mother's voice in the background. Say hi to the camera, baby. I hadn't seen that video in 20 years. I didn't even know it still existed. And someone was playing it back to me, on a loop. on a wall I couldn't turn away from. The message. After what felt like hours, the screen changed. Black background, white text. Welcome back. Lot number 80. 4009. 187 confirmed. Identity. Redacted. Gender. Male age. 26. Blood type. A B plus documented range. Age 0 to 26. Status. Unsold. And the screen glitched, and a low-quality text-to-speech voice came through the speaker above me. Previous auction withdrawn. Cataloging resumed. We apologize for the delay. You've been very patient, I screamed. For hours. No one answered. No one ever does. The cataloging. At some point, I passed out. I don't know how long I was unconscious, but when I woke up, my fingernails were gone. Not my fingers, just the nails. Each wrapped in plastic, individually labeled, set on a sterile tray beside my face, like collectibles, like museum pieces. A QR code next to each one. The label read, Tier 2, DNA souvenirs, bitter, access only. Next to the tray was a syringe, empty, still wet, and on the mirror screen, a new feed was playing. Me, from above, being catalogued, gloved hands rotating my limbs, a light pen scanning behind my ears, fingers stretching my lips open to check dental alignment. Then, an overhead shot of my face, blood smeared around my mouth like lipstick, and at the bottom of the screen, soft tissue, limit reached, subject still conscious, no anesthesia requested. I didn't request it. They wrote it like I agreed to it, like I wanted to be here. The sound, they record you, not just your breathing, your heartbeat, the soft shuffle of your feet when you panic, the way you cry. At some point, I realized the vents were playing me back to myself, a slowed down version of my voice, looped over gentle ambient noise, like one of those YouTube study with me lo-fi videos, but made entirely of my own data. They turned me into sound art. I clawed at the walls until my fingers bled again. They came back and cleaned it, silently, gloved, no faces. And then they left a Polaroid on my chest, of my apartment, with the caption, sold, NYC delivery, pending. My body was here, but my life was for sale. The bidding room, heard, not seen. This part, I only know because I heard it. I couldn't see it, but I remember the voices. The wall behind the mirror glowed faintly, and a low-frequency hum started, like a hard drive spinning up. Then came the voices, not speaking, typing. Each voice read out messages in robotic text-to-speech. Bidder 112, $22,300. Request full reconstruction rights. Bidder 097, add $10,000 for live cam access. Bidder 223, decline, too much damage to original. Bidder 000, matching, DNA to 84,893 requested, waiting for match. Emily, she's still in the system, still part of the rebuildable assets. Then silence, then a long tone. Sale cancelled, client terminated. I think. Someone tried to rescue me, and they got removed for it. The end. For me. I haven't seen a clock. I don't know what year it is anymore. But I know this. They've stopped feeding me. They've stopped cataloging. And yet I'm still alive. They're letting me rot. On camera. Because it's part of the show. They'll post it somewhere. They'll call it an exhibition. Something dark web elitists show off at secret parties in Berlin or Seoul or Dubai. They'll use my scream as part of an ambient track for some sick startup that sells trauma as art. And eventually, they'll recycle me. They'll grind what's left and make another version of me. One who smiles better. One who talks prettier. one they can package, relist, and resell. The last message they showed me said, "Thank you for your data. A new you will be delivered to your contacts soon." So, if you're reading this, if someone sends you a weird DM, if a friend forwards you a file with your baby pictures, if an old photo appears on your social media that you never uploaded, it's already too late. Location: Los Angeles, California. Archive search triggered: Emily R. Audio enabled. You ever open your baby photo album and realize none of the people smiling in the background look quite right? It happened last week. I was on the floor of my aunt's guest room in Echo Park. I was packing my duffel to move back to New York when I found a navy blue binder. No labels, no names, just a faint sticky residue where a sticker had once been. Inside were around 20 Polaroids, all from when I was little, except something was off. One picture showed me in a stroller in Times Square, a Toys R Us bag on the handlebar, smiling, the timestamp on the corner. 1998, I was born in 2001. Entry 02:6:52 p.m. I confronted my aunt. She stared at the photos for a full minute, then said, "Where'd you find this?" I told her the truth. "I wish I hadn't," she whispered. "You weren't supposed to see these. These were artifacts." Artifacts? That's not a word normal people use when they talk about family pictures. Entry 03:11:27 p.m. I did a reverse image search on one of the Polaroids. Google found nothing, but TinEye found 2 matches on deep web backlogs from a .onion catalog page, last accessed in 2018. The image was watermarked, lot number 84,893, the original mother, delivery, completed, DNA, full match, child, integrated, ID 84991-A. There was a mirror. I looked into it. I don't know who I'm looking at anymore. Entry 04 October 5th, 2025, 2:02 a.m. I got my blood tested at a private lab under a fake name. Said it was for a rare disorder. The results came back 12 hours later. I matched 83% with a long-deceased donor file. Not my aunt, not my dad. A woman named Emily R. Deceased, never buried. Status: unreturned. Body: missing. They pulled the DNA record from Interpol's internal test server. How the hell was my DNA on an Interpol database? Entry 05401 AM. I broke into my aunt's closet. Behind a panel in the wall was a fireproof box. Inside, 3 USB sticks. A folded document labeled Acquisition Papers 84,991-A. I opened it. There was a checklist, typed, stamped, surgical. Tissue regeneration complete. Subject responsive by age 3. No memories from original. Implant-free clone confirmed. Integrated into private family via buyer 112. Handler notes. Subject believes false identity. Monitor until age 25 for recataloguing. I turned 24 2 months ago. Entry 06:5:13 a.m. I watched the USB files. There's one in particular that won't leave me alone. A surveillance clip dated October 24th, 2001. From a cold, windowless room with plastic curtains. A woman lies on a table, barely breathing. Her legs are covered in straps. She's crying, whispering a name. "Don't let them take my baby. Please, please." I gave her a name. "Please." Then gloved hands enter the frame. They inject her neck. She seizes. The camera zooms in on the baby in the incubator behind her. The tag reads 84991-A. Intake pending. That baby was me. Entry 07 October 10th, 2025, 8:21 p.m. I haven't slept. Not really. I see her face when I close my eyes. I confronted my aunt again. She didn't cry. She didn't deny it. She said, "We didn't buy you. That's not what happened. You were already for sale. We just outbid the others." I punched her. I think I broke my own hand. She didn't even call the cops. Before I left, she called out after me, "They'll come for you once the mirror doesn't recognize your face anymore. Once it knows you've seen the paperwork. Entry 08, October 11th, 2025, 3:33 a.m. My mirror did something tonight. I walked past it. It didn't reflect me. Just a black screen with white text. Re-auction pending. Lot number 84,991A. Back on the market. Bidding opens in 12 hours. Entry 09, October 12th, 2025, 2:13 a.m. I don't know where to run. I tried booking a flight. Every airport rejected my ID. I tried deleting my online presence. Half the accounts weren't even mine. They were replicas. There's a version of me still uploading stories on Instagram, walking through London. A TikTok account posting outfit checks from Tokyo. I haven't left Los Angeles in 2 years. They've already made new versions of me. Better ones. Marketable ones. I'm obsolete, and I think they're sending someone to collect me. Entry 10, 4:44 AMA package just arrived. No name, no label. Inside, a single Polaroid of me, sleeping. A plastic bag containing 4 teeth. A VHS tape marked Original Voice Print, 84,991A. My mouth hurts. I check the mirror. There's a faint pulse behind the glass now, like a heartbeat. It's watching me. Final entry, October 13th, 2025. Unknown time. If you find this, if this journal leaks online, don't repost it. Don't react to it. Don't try to follow my story. That's how they track interest. That's how they choose the next lot. I understand now. I was never a person. I was a project, a clone, a custom, a sculpted replacement for something they destroyed. And now I'm not unique anymore. I'm used, expired. The auction is live again. Bids are already rising. They want someone younger, someone cleaner, someone who still thinks they're real. And when they find them, they'll make another page, another listing, another perfectly polished fake life, just like mine. So look closely at your old photos. If any of them are dated before you were born, if any show you places you've never been, if any watermarks read lot number 84XXX, unreturned, don't run. It only makes your price go higher. Case file closed. Subject 84,991. A status reclaimed. Next in queue 84,992. B. Status unaware. Active on TikTok. Age 9. Auction opens in 4 hours.